And we are live with another episode of Comic Talk. It's that show brought to you by The Keeg, where we talk about this week's new comic book releases. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera. And for those of you who don't know, new comic books come out on Wednesdays, and we're here on a Thursday, October 3rd, 2024, to talk about all the comics that we read this week, whether they're DC, whether they're Marvel, whether they're Image or Boom Studios or Oni Press or any of the many other publishers out there. We're here to talk about everything that we could read in literally like 24 hours. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera, and you don't know who our guest is, either A, because you're listening to the podcast and you can't visually see who our guest is, and that's where we get your podcast from. But if you're watching us live, twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show, you can see who our guest is, but she's never been on Comic Talk before, so I do have to introduce her. And it's up to you on whether you close out the app that you're using to watch this show or not. But that's, I'm giving people the option to back off, We got Tessa, aka Tessa is a nerd. Tessa, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Goodbye to everyone who's deciding to click off as soon as they see me. I hope you have a great night. But thank you for having me on. This should be fun.
It's like, you don't need to chase after people who don't want to chase after you. You know what I mean? Like, we're better than that. People should want to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you already have some fans in the chat over here, so.
I mean, I do see some, but you know how fans are? They could turn on like a dime, They can turn against you. They're rabid wolves.
They could be too much of a fan. Yeah, you could have a swim fan situation.
Mm-hmm.
Whole deal.
Yeah. Was that, wait. It was the guy from Clock Stoppers. What's his name? He was also in Bring It On, right? He was in Bring It On, right?
Oh, you are not speaking my language right now.
We were talking about Swim Fan. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, and then I hadn't seen any of the other movies. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Shout out to Comic Book Stash, saying, "Oh hi, cute, oh hi, cutie, and hi, Tessa." So I guess I'm cutie. That's great.
Yeah.
You
want me to like give him your number or something?
What?
Do you want me to like give him your number or something?
Yeah. Hook me up. Who could that Comic Book Stash be? I don't know. Sean Tegrity says, "Hey, it's my friend Tessa." Curly Insane Guy says, "Tessa, woo." And
Curly Insane Guy, hi.
Curly Insane Guy also says, "Actually, just got vaccinated for rabies, so we're good."
Oh, so hell yeah, then you can hear me.
I guess that's fine. Comic Book Stash says, "I'm gonna give it 5 minutes, see how she performs, then I'll consider if I leave." Yeah, I mean that's fair.
That's fair. Yeah,
a free trial.
Yeah.
You are a nerd, right? Would you consider yourself one?
I think I would consider myself a professional nerd, actually. Yeah.
What's the difference?
I get paid to be here.
If you were wait, you get paid to be here?
Yeah, actually, someone bribed me to be on the show tonight. It definitely wasn't the host, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, it wasn't me, because now you're gonna like Comic Book Stash is in the chat being like, you guys get paid?
Oh yeah, did he not pay you to be on here? Dude, I made like $500 already.
500. I actively lose money from this show.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it just takes a lot. It's a lot out of me. It's time, it's energy, it's money, it's sweat, blood, and tears. But, I'm glad that you're getting paid from whoever your benefactor is.
Doing live shows does take a lot of energy. I feel like people don't realize, but like afterwards, I'm always like, I need caffeine, I need a nap, I need a snack, like.
And you got to time out your caffeine because, like, I don't know. Sometimes I'll like do like 2 episodes back to back and have like a horrible headache because I over consumed caffeine. But like oh, that was a weird sound. But anyway, so you do other comic book shows and whatnot, and you read a lot of comics. Why do you read so many comics?
Well, I do orders for a store, so it definitely helps to know what books are kind of doing the best and what I can suggest to people. I also kind of get to see it play out in real life. So literally yesterday, I was in one of my storefronts for 5 minutes, maybe, not even. And I saw someone come into the store that bought Skin Police just because they saw me talk about it on Instagram. So like, it also goes hand in hand like that. And it's really nice. And I feel like it's also true with such a niche hobby like we have. It's very community based. So if I talk about a book, people are actually going to check it out because it's just a friend talking about books kind of thing.
Yeah. I feel like there's different types of comic book fans. It's a very specific type of comic book fan that reads comics week to week.
I will be honest. I do very often fall behind. I'm not very good at like reading all of my books by Thursday. This is not normal for me.
This no. This is not normal for anyone. The fact that we have the show on Thursday means like you gotta binge all you can in 24 hours, sure. But just, and I'm not even saying like you can't fall behind, like people fall behind, like that is just what it is. But I just feel like there are people who read just like trades. There are people who are on the apps like DC Universe Infinite or Marvel Unlimited that are reading things like 3 months behind, right? And that's okay. It's just different than the people who are like going to the comic shop every week.
I do feel like most of the people who read weekly comics also are a blend of the other people you spoke about. Like maybe trade readers just read trades, but people who read new issues also read trades. They probably also have a tablet to read digital when they're on vacation or something. Like I feel like week to week readers are actually just everything.
Yeah. Well, because you got to get your fix somehow, right?
Yeah, we all have a problem. We all have a paper problem.
Yeah. Like I get it. I get it. We both read a lot of comics this week. And I don't feel like in my whole list of comics, I don't feel like I got to read everything that I wanted to read.
Same.
What was this overwhelming to get you to like read what you could in 24 hours?
I just happened to be a little busy with work this week, but no, I used to do a comic talk show that was often on Fridays, and that definitely did help. But I mean, there was only 2 issues that I told you that I thought I would get to that I didn't. So like, it was only because I had to read an extra trade for a show I'm doing right after this, and
Right.
I had to read 3 issues instead of 2 for the show I had prior. So I just didn't really consider those, but usually it would have been fine.
I'm not getting on your case. You know that, right? Like it's a lot
I
to
just read
read.
enough. I get it. I'm sorry. I lied to you. I'm
How
sorry.
dare you? I thought you were going to
I
be on
know.
this show and you were, putting your best foot forward. And look at you. You didn't read 2 of the
I
20
know.
books you said you were going to read.
I said I was gonna read like 24, excuse you.
Was it 24? You dropped a
Or
whole
24.
list. I was like, I asked you, and then for anyone out there who knew or didn't know, Lex from Wednesday Poll was supposed to be on this episode, but he couldn't make it. But like we had a little group chat, and like I asked everybody what their reading list is, and then Tessa drops 24 books.
I think something like that. Clearly, I'm better at words than math, you know.
It was too many. It was almost like I'm not interested in talking about all these books with Tessa at that point. Like that's overwhelming, you know?
I honestly like I have a completionist brain, which I feel like a lot of comic nerds innately have. And I wanted to just read everything. And then I looked at what was going to come out this week, and it was like Spawn, and then Gunslinger Spawn, and then a different Spawn, and then Savage Dragon. I was like, I'm not reading every book because I'm not dealing with those.
Well, here's the question for you. I just to get a sense of like what your taste is. Are you a Spawn fan?
I've never read Spawn, so like I want to say that I kind of feel like Spawn belongs in the 90s more than now, but I've never actually read it, so I can't be that strong on it, but usually I kind of say that like, yeah, not really for Spawn.
I've never really vibed with Spawn, but what I think is really interesting is wait, who's doing Spawn? Image?
Yeah.
So Image is trying really hard to make like Spawn and Spawn spin-offs and like a Spawn comic book universe, right?
Yeah, and speaking as a store, like a lot of the spin-offs do better than the whole Spawn run.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean like, good for them. It's just not something that I touch necessarily.
Yeah, same.
You know?
I want to read one of them just because my friends wrote it, but other than that, it's just, man, I just don't want to touch Spawn. And there's too much of it. Too much.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. But, good for them. What's really cool, and before we even get to our reading lists of the week, I forgot to tell you, not only a pick of the week that I need, but like if you could read your whole list of comics with the issue numbers. That's how we normally start off. But what I was gonna say is that there's a comic for everybody. So, people. There's only one. I don't know if I told you. There's only one comic that I actively despise to the point where I tell people not to read. And there's only one comic. Everything else is a matter of taste. It's even if I don't like it, other people like it, and that's okay.
That's what I always say. Like, it's not bad, it's just not for me. But what's the one you hate? I have to know.
The Boys. I actively despise The Boys. I wish that the Boys comic never existed in the first place and they just came up with the idea for the show. Like, I wish you just skipped the comic part. Because the show is fine. I like the show. It's smarter. The comic, horrible. And I will actively judge people who like the Boys comic.
So I've never consumed a show. I'm sure I will eventually. But I have this goal to read everything that the store carries.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have opened up The Boys on several occasions and just looking at, I've never read it, but I look at the art and I go, I can't do this. And I just put it down. Like, if the show wasn't out, I don't think it would still be getting reprinted into like proper trades right now, even though it's a larger Dynamite franchise. But just, it's so ugly. It's so ugly. Ugh.
The art is really ugly.
It's so ugly.
And it's just, I don't. Well, let me just. I'll read through some chat stuff. Basically, Sean Tegrity says, "I love The Boys. Judge me, please." So, I'm sorry, Sean. I don't know whether I've met you or known you or see you online. That's okay.
He has many bad takes. Many bad takes.
Like, The Boys is the absolute worst. The subject matter, the shock value, it has no point. And it's super nihilistic too. Like, the TV show isn't as nihilistic as the comic. The comic is just like, oh yeah, everybody is the most evil person in the world. That's
so
how
I
life
feel like
is.
you would hate Frost.
I mean, probably, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that's in the same realm of just, you should not touch that book. I feel like you would hate that.
And that being said, so I hate Garth Ennis halfway, but I love some Garth Ennis. Just like a couple of stuff that he does, like Punisher related stuff. I love Garth Ennis, which ties in with all the books that came out this week. So let's read. Let's go over the comics that you read this week just by name, and then I'll go over mine, and then we'll talk about our pick of the week, and then get into the rest of it.
Okay, I think this is a complete list. We'll see. I wasn't taking notes the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So Absolute Power 4, All In Special #1, so it's a one shot. Batman 153, Birds of Prey 15
or 14, 15, something like that.
14. Yeah. The new one.
Yeah.
Creeping Below 1, Cruel Universe 3, Call to the Lamb 4, Deadpool 7, Deviant 8, Hyde Street 1, I Know What You Did Last Crisis, that's a one shot. Mammoth #4, Night of the Slashers 1, Plastic Man 2, Poison Ivy 26, Redcoat 6, Skin Police 1, Storm 1, Ultimate Black Panther 9, and X-Men 5?
Is it 4 or 5? I can't see, but yeah.
The new one.
Okay. Yeah.
I wrote 5, but I might have lied to myself.
Well, because what's confusing is X-Men is bi-weekly right now.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of playing with the bi-weekly schedule.
I hate bi-weekly. There's too many mutant things starting at once. It makes it like harder to try and read them all.
That's true, especially for like everybody's jumping on point was supposed to be like a month or two ago, right? And so then it's suddenly bi-weekly, and it's like, whoa. They're trying to rush to get to the 2 series crossing over. So there's going to be a crossover event with just 2 series, Uncanny X-Men and X-Men, and it's going to cross over. I don't know if you know, but
I wanted to give all of them like at least like 3 issues. Like I wanted to give them all like a good shot, maybe like a trade. But now it's like hard to deal with all of that on top of just, I feel like there's DC and Marvel, and then there's a secondary Marvel that's all the mutant stuff. Like it feels like a whole like publication company's worth route of stuff. Like,
I mean, that's what I love. So like for me, X-Men's my #1, followed very closely by most of DC, and then there's most of Marvel. So like X-Men just barely ekes out DC, but if Marvel didn't have X-Men, I'm all DC. Like
very same.
Yeah.
X-Men 1 was my grail this year, so I have a X-Men 1 sitting right over there. Like X-Men is my jam. I'm working that whole original run.
Oh, for like X-Men 1, like the first X-Men 1?
Yeah, I have it over there. I can grab it later.
Okay. So wait, you have an original copy?
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay, all right. Are you able to hear me right now, or no? All right. Well, anyway, shout out to everybody out there. Curly and Satan Guy says, sadly got to run off to previous commitments, but have a good comic talk. Y'all rock. Keep spreading the good news of comics. Bumpkins TV says, just saw Tessa a few minutes ago. Are you sure it's the same Tessa? I don't know. You ever see Bruce Wayne and Batman in the same room? I don't know. Nice. Can you
have issues? I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I have issues 1 through like 70 or so.
Okay.
But yeah, it's my little baby.
One day I'm gonna be rich enough. I don't even want that issue. I want Giant Size X-Men #1.
I'll get there eventually. All right. I'm working on main title X-Men because this is so dorky. I'm working on issues 1 through 141 because that's when the title changes. During Days of Future Past, it changes from the X-Men to the Uncanny X-Men. So I'm grabbing all of the X-Men. And then we'll see about Giant Size X-Men because that's still gonna be another, that's a book with a comma in the price.
Yeah. That, I mean, if I want to own one comic book like from the past, it's Giant Size X-Men 1. So that was a good list that you listed. I read Absolute Power 4, DC All In Special, Batman 153. I read Plastic Man No More #2, Red Coat #6, Storm 1, Ultimate Black Panther 9, X-Men 4, and then I read Justice Society of America 12 and Get Fury #6. Which is written by Garth Ennis, weirdly enough. But,
And does that fall in the love or the hate?
That falls in love. I've been talking about...
I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah. For me, and I haven't read all of Garth Ennis's work. Like, I haven't read Preacher and all that. I know it's a classic. I know it's iconic, blah, blah, blah. It never really, like, drew me in on the subject matter. Maybe one day I'll sit down. The Boys, though, leaves me sick every time I try to read it. So, it is what it is. And I've tried for years to get further and further, and I can't. It's horrible. So, out of all those books that we read, because there's a big overlap with all our books, what book is your pick of the week?
I'm going to go with Skin Police #1. Footnote that I'm totally biased. My pal writes this, Jordan Thomas. He's excellent. He wrote Mugshots from Mad Cave, great little like crime noir book. The Man from Nowhere, very fun Oni book. But this is an Oni book, and I feel like Oni has been doing a lot of really fun stuff recently. I've been digging a lot of it. I feel like them and Mad Cave have been kind of crushing it on like smaller indie stuff right now.
Yeah.
I'm also a sucker for like dystopian stuff. So like, here's some like pandemic-based future dystopian thing. So I'm kind of immediately sold on all that.
What's the premise of Skin Police? Like, fill us in.
There's some kind of infertility pandemic. So most people just cannot have kids. Obviously, like most problems in the world, if you're rich, you're okay. You're going to get some expensive treatments done and you can still have your own kid. And it's a pandemic, right? Like it's not going to affect everyone. So some people can just have a kid, but it's just going to make sure that most people can't. And then so in this future society, they've created some kind of like human genetic clone where you can have a baby and the baby's not going to know that it's a clone unless like the parents tell them, which no one would because it's a risk to their safety. And so they call them dupes. And so there are these dupes running around and they did not know until many years later that a lot of them at kind of a seemingly random age, they just like pop, they become violent, they become some kind of monster, like something genetically wrong in the coding of their DNA, like just fucks up. And they kind of go a little berserk. And so there are people who are hunting down these dupes called the Skin Police. Is that really a good thing? Kind of is the twist at the end here where it seems like maybe
you're gonna tell me the twist?
It's not like a twist. It's just like it's the main premise of like the first issue why you should read more of just it's called Skin Police, but like are they actually, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because it's like the half good part is they're stopping these monsters from destroying people, but they are just killing people who don't know they're doing anything wrong. And maybe not all of them pop. Maybe you don't need to like kill all of them. It's like a whole thing. So
yeah. I mean, the idea that like, and it's funny how it plays off in like even mainstream comics is like, you have this huge horde. Do you kill them or hope to change them back? Like, is there another way you do it? So like recently Marvel had Blood Hunt and they killed a bunch of vampires, right? And the way they posed it was like, they have no choice. Vampires are overtaking everything. But at the end, some people get turned back, and then like I think the vampires, I forget what happens, but like they have all their consciousness. So
Hmm.
are you just murdering people then at that point? Like I don't
Hmm.
know.
I'm a
But
sucker
okay.
for zombie stuff, and that's like always something that happens at like the beginning of zombie stories where it's like, should we try not to kill them because is this some kind of curable disease, or like do we just have to kill them so they don't kill us? Like, and that's always like the beginning, and I always like the beginning of zombie stuff.
Um I like what happens in Deceased.
Yes.
So first things first is that like Marvel did Marvel Zombies a long time ago, right? And then DC did Deceased, but people have been talking, and this kind of ties in with DC All In special, but like the idea that like the companies kind of copy off of each other, and so like that's fine as long as there's enough time in between, and as long as they like do something fresh and unique with what they're doing. So like Deceased, I thought is a better written story than Marvel Zombies. Marvel Zombies was a lot of shock and awe and
It's
like it's
very
fun.
different.
It's fun.
It's
Like
way funner than it should be by any means. But yeah,
yeah,
like Marvel Zombies is more of like it's way gorier than I would have expected anything to be okay with at Marvel.
yeah. You want to know
And
the
then
goriest thing in Marvel Zombies? It happens later in Marvel Zombies Reborn. Is
I never read that.
it's zombie Spider-Man doesn't have any webs, so he shoots his own veins out his wrist.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
But yeah, it's really fun. Like it's way more engaging than it should be. I had a blast reading, like I only
yeah,
read the numbered ones and it was great. But it is very much just like it's a fun zombie flick at its heart. It's just stupid, gory, and like there is a story that's good, but like that's what it is. And then Deceased, I feel like it's very like character driven, right? Like
yeah.
it's more of a soul piece.
And in Deceased, what ties in what we were saying is that like people are turning into zombies and people being killed, but then there is a cure, and then Cyborg is like, wait a minute, we've killed so many people, we could have cured them, and like there's that whole thing. So um that's an interesting spin, you know.
I do think that I think that Tom Taylor's greatest strength isn't writing a wide cast, which I feel like is where a lot of other writers falter. And specifically the DC universe, I don't understand how he knows so characters so intensely. Like I feel like he has such a voice for so many of them. And so whenever he's doing like Injustice or Deceased or anything like that, like I feel like those big casts play perfectly for him. And that's like exactly the opposite of most people.
Yeah, I write, but like the idea, so like I try to view it from like a lens of a writer, is that sometimes what happens with any comic book or movies or whatever, like people have an overarching plot that they want to do, and so they'll make the characters fit the plot, so the characters' decisions just kind of go with what the plot needs them to do. But I feel like Tom Taylor does a thing, and I love Tom Taylor, so I think he makes sure that every character makes a choice that is their character,
Mm-hmm.
and since there's so many of them, either way he's gonna get the plot he wants,
Mm-hmm.
you
Exactly.
know. So I love Tom Taylor, I do. He's not 100%, but like
Yeah. I think of him as a very fun writer.
yeah.
It's not like
um
I'm not gonna write anything that's going to like change me, but it's a very fun time.
there's some moments in his Nightwing run that are very sweet, where it's like,
Oh, definitely.
Dick and Bruce, and do I cry? I don't
Literally
know.
starts off with him dealing with Alfred. Like it
Yeah,
starts off with just like a sob fest.
yeah. um so your pick was Skin Police #1, and I am narrowing it down in my head what I think the thing is, and I'm just gonna pick Absolute Power, because I think it stuck the landing. I
Okay.
was surprised. Last week, there's so many plot points in Absolute Power, but like last week I was complaining how Green Arrow is, he like turned traitor.
Oh yeah, I did not believe that for a minute.
I hated it though, and I was like, why would he do that? And then in this, do they wrap it up really quickly? Yes, but can I just believe it and just like move past it? Yeah.
I liked the explanation much more than I thought I would, because I thought the explanation was going to be some like, I was just lying, guys. I was just playing it really well, and it was going to be really lame. This
Yeah,
was at least like, oh no, like you believed it, like, oh, that's cool.
with a Martian Manhunter telepathic implant, right? That's
And
what it
like
said.
the moment that they have with Martian Manhunter is so amusing to me, because Batman's like, well, you should have told us. And Martian Manhunter is like, I didn't really anticipate getting caught immediately. And then also being like, Batman, are you chastising me on a secret plan? He's just like,
Right,
hmm.
Mr. Secret Plan, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, like, I like how everything turned out, and hot take, I like the fact that Barry lost his powers.
I liked his fun little bike.
That was Wally on the bike.
That was Wally? Okay.
Yeah, I know, it was hard for me to keep up too. So Wally lost his powers and got on the bike. Barry kept his powers, and that's when he fought the speedsters that were coming in through the multiversal gate.
Yeah, yeah.
But then at the end, when all the powers went back and whatever, something happened and he's powerless.
Oh, okay. I actually totally missed that. He was powerless still.
Yeah, at the end it says he's powerless,
Okay.
and then it says that the multiverse is shut off. I
Yeah.
I like how it ends. I think that it sets up a lot of cool things, and then it cuts the multiverse off from the DC universe, because I think they just need to exist on their own.
hmm
But what's kind of cool is what, like, the DC All In special is essentially the sequel, like issue 5 of Absolute
Yeah,
Power,
kind of.
right? Did you read that one?
Yeah. So I didn't like Absolute Power as much as you did,
Yeah.
but I definitely really like that it specifically set up a lot of stuff for the Justice League. And I just kind of happened to read the All In special after it, and I'm really glad that that's exactly what I did, because it made it feel much more like oh, here's the end of this event, but it actually like did change stuff. Because I hate when events are like, we did a thing and then we put all the toys back in the toy box and you could just ignore this, everything's back to normal now. So I like that it's like, this is actually kind of fundamentally changing the universe in a way, and this is where it's carrying forward.
Yeah. Bumpkins TV says the All In special is his pick of the week. Yeah, I
I
mean,
love it. I love Booster Gold. I'm a huge Booster Gold fan, like huge Booster Gold fan. So like the fact that it focused on him, I was so happy.
there was two halves to this, right? There was the
Yeah.
first story and the second story. The first story is 52 days later
Yeah.
that they're trying to create a watchtower, right? And bring the Justice League back in. And then Booster Gold, you're right. And then Darkseid attacks. And then Booster Gold gets flung to the future, or was it an alternate timeline? I don't remember.
I was also thinking I assumed future,
I think it's the
but
future, because they can't travel
yeah.
to multiverses. Like,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But I liked that part much more than the other part, honestly.
you didn't like the Darkseid
I
half?
again, I was totally biased. I was like, oh my gosh, Booster Gold's in this, and it was
Yeah.
like such a focal point that I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And maybe this book also made me extremely excited for like the new Justice League stuff starting off. And I wasn't like not excited for it, but I just like everyone was so hyped, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now I'm in. Now I'm sold, and I want all of the new Justice League stuff coming out.
Yeah. The fact that they're calling it Justice League Unlimited, they're just, and I'm okay with the fact that they are copying themselves. Like the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, like they're copying essentially just that. And I'm okay with that, because like I think it's about time that like people who grew up with the Justice League cartoon saw those characters and ideas in the comics again, you know?
That's a perspective that you're gonna have that I don't, because I like haven't ever really consumed a lot of cartoons. So I've seen one episode of that, and it's because I visited my friends and he put on the Booster Gold one, and that's it.
Thanks,
And
Green
I liked that.
Lantern.
And it was so funny. It was so funny. And I love the art style, so I'm very interested in that cartoon. But like, yeah, that's something I like when Avengers did that with like John Byrne stuff and whatever, where it was just kind of like rotating casts. And I
Yeah.
think that makes the most sense for picking out whatever makes the most sense for this problem. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited by this.
I like the idea that like if you can get multiple team books, then you can have a rotating cast team book
Mhm.
and then still see your favorite characters in other books. Because that's kind
Mhm.
of what we're missing, is that like in DC and even in Marvel, it's like there are characters you'll only see, somebody pointed it out online. I think it's Marvelous Brit. Marvelous Brit, I think, did a was it Marvelous Brit? I don't know. Did a video saying that like there are certain characters you only see once a year at the X, Y, and Z special of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and then the company forgets about them. Like, who are our gay characters? Let's bring them out for that
That's what
one
I say all
anthology
the
special,
time.
and then not remember that they exist for the rest of the year until it's the next year.
I think
Um,
that's what they're doing horribly with all like the DC like Asian characters. They're bringing them out for Asian Heritage Month, and that's it. And this is obviously not as important on like minority level, still a little bit, but I always say this about Duke, the Signal and the Bat
oh yeah,
Family does not exist until it's like, oh, it's a Bat Family crossover. Here's everyone. All right, see him again in a year. Like that's it.
right. So they're the reason behind that, I think, is that DC, because of the company behind DC and everything, like they cut down all the comics. Like they weren't doing that many comics a month, right? And I think it's like the rubber band effect of like they went too big with the new 52, which is 52 titles a month, and then they're like people aren't buying it, and then just slowly but surely people, it's different. So then DC's like, well, how about a couple of books a week? And then it's like, yeah, but what about our favorite characters? Like, when was the last time you saw Booster Gold do anything?
Right. But to put a mirror to that, that's exactly what I was kind of getting at with mutant stuff earlier with Marvel. Like I feel like it's just that you're putting out too much for people to feel like they can actually read everything. So then you're gonna have to pull back because your sales are just people giving up. Like,
well, I mean, the mutant stuff does well with Marvel. Like, you put an X on a title, right?
yeah, but I mean, I'm seeing it pretty drastically in my store where everyone at first was really excited, but now no one can keep up. So everyone's just dropping all the titles because they can't read all of them. They're like, we'll trade wait.
Well, here's the thing: they don't have to read all of them. I mean,
Yeah, but then you immediately have to pick if there's so many at once. Then it's like, because if you start them more gradually, then you're like, oh, I'm already 13 issues into this. I love this title. Let me try a new one. It's not,
yeah.
let me try, what, 12 at once?
Well, right now it's just the appetizer platter, right? It's the first couple months of like all these X titles, And so if something doesn't resonate with you, because like, again, I'm a big X-Men fan. I'm trying to get people like jumping on X-Men and all these titles. They don't need to love it all like I do. If they don't want to read a Storm series, first thing, bad taste, but okay.
Yeah, true. Agreed.
Fine. But like, sure, you don't have to, and you don't want to, some people don't want to read a Wolverine solo title. Like, they're like, Wolverine's just Wolverine. I'll read them in Uncanny. I don't need to read them in the solo. That's fine. Who cares? But like, finding the right titles and the characters and the writers, I think, that resonate with you. I think that's just a better way to start. Just be like, oh, I'm a Rogue fan. I'm just going to read Uncanny X-Men. That's fine.
That's a lot harder for a lot of people who've never done X-Men before, which is everyone's trying to try it again right now because it's an actual good starting point. It's just a little overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. I think it's only overwhelming if you want to, like, you go to Cheesecake Factory and you see the menu. You don't have to order everything on the menu.
That's quitter talk. That is quitter talk.
You walk into Cheesecake Factory. I'll take one of everything. One of everything. Bumpkins TV says Storm was really good. Storm was really good. So, what I was going to say about DC All In Special before we move on is that I like the second backup story because I was telling a friend of mine, I don't like modern day Darkseid, like how Darkseid's been recently in the past 15 years or so. Like, he's just a big bruiser. And he's just like,
okay,
I'm the ruler of the universe and I'm pure evil. And it's like, okay, whatever. I like the New Gods Darkseid where it's sort of mythological in a way. Like, there's things that he needs or does or acts, and it's Shakespearean in a way. And so, yeah, like, I like this backup story because it was like, it made Darkseid feel like a new god again. Instead of just being Thanos.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I feel like they're trying so hard to make him DC's Thanos. And it's like, sure, if you're just trying to equate it to like large, more celestial, like overarching villain, sure.
Yeah.
But I think we should celebrate that here. Darkseid's cool, man.
Yeah. Also, Thanos was a ripoff of Darkseid.
There's a lot of ripoffs on both sides. It's fine.
Well, yeah. But I just like this thing because it's funny because Darkseid came first, then Thanos was a ripoff of Darkseid, and then DC did Mongol, which was a ripoff of Thanos. So in DC, you have Darkseid and Mongol, and it's just kind of funny that way. Yeah. So yeah, again, I think there's a lot of like good DC books that came out this week. So like,
Yes.
you know, at a certain point, we're gonna run out of time talking about all these books because you read a lot and I read a lot, and I'll let you choose. What do you want to talk about next?
Oh man. Okay. I'm gonna pop over to an indie then, because we've been doing a lot of like Marvel and DC love. So I want to give one that I think people might not have picked up, and that's kind of what I like to do with comics is bring people's eyes to ones they might not have read.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Night of the Slashers #1.
All right.
The B cover is this sick VHS kind of inspired cover by Robert Hack, who's like a huge favorite artist of mine. He's great at doing this kind of like vintagey horror-y look. Love it. I thought that this book was gonna be very much like your stereotypical like camp blood kind of rip-off thing of just like a Friday 13th slasher movie, which is fine. Like if it's fun, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But it ended up being much more of like a monster flick with like a town that's cursed, which is extremely interesting to me. Basically, some kids are going on a field trip. I could not read if they were like in high school or if it was college, but it was like before graduation, I think late high school. And they were going to some field trip, some movie theater to go check out something before a game or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And school bus gets trapped in this town, and you can tell all the townspeople are like, oh no, like how do we get these people out of here? We have to get you out of here. Also, we can't leave the town. And so the kids are like, why are these people being so weird?
Yeah.
And so at night, clearly something weird happens on this town on like this specific day, it seems like, and they just happen to fall into the town on the wrong day because horror movie trope.
Yeah.
But it was way better than I expected it to be. I thought it was not going to be that great, but I think it's my favorite Magma title so far. So it was fun.
Okay. That's a publisher you don't normally hear. Magma.
They're new. Yeah, they came out. Their first book was like probably 4 months ago. They put out the Scale Trade and I think Principles of Necromancy, which is Kelly and Lansing, the hive mind. Yeah, I think they've only had a handful of titles. They're super new.
Okay. Also a new publisher is Massive Publishing, who I've had the honor of, talking with and interviewing some of their writers. I like
one of the writers is my best friend.
Oh, really? Writing which one?
Yeah, for Crashdown, I'm friends with the whole creative team.
Oh, nice. Okay. I Lied Popeye #2 came out this week. I didn't get to pick it up, but I Lied Popeye #1 was really good, and I can't recommend it enough. I got to pick up issue 2 though.
I literally from Massive, I only did Crashdown, obviously, because I'm friends with everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, Vampire Slayer, whatever it was. Wild. So like that's the other one.
Okay, I didn't know that was Massive. All right, there's a lot of stuff from Massive coming out soon, so stay tuned. Let's see. Okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna try. Let's see. I'm gonna talk real quick about Get Fury #6 because I touched on it a little bit. This is Garth Ennis writing a 6-issue miniseries about Vietnam era Nick Fury and Punisher. And the premise is that Nick Fury's been taken hostage by the Viet Cong and he's being tortured for state secrets. The CIA sends the Punisher in to retrieve Nick Fury, but really it's an assassination. They're going to kill Nick Fury before he says anything. The problem is they realize very soon that there's another wrinkle in their plan. It's gory, super gory, as Garth Ennis books are. It is the return of Marvel Max. Because Marvel Max, like comics, like they stopped that imprint for a while. And then maybe they either just started up just for this series or we're going to get more Marvel Max again. But this was a Marvel Max branded title. And it is really good. And, credit where credit is due. Garth Ennis's Punisher stuff is great. It's always like that's my favorite Garth Ennis thing is like his Punisher stuff.
Okay, wow. Oh, I thought you were saying this for a second. I was gonna be like, damn.
Well, actually, I mean this ties in. I don't like this is one of his best pieces, I think. Like, but his Punisher run is amazing. So like it's all the same. It's Punisher. Max.
Yeah.
So I mean Get Fury #6. And I'll just talk about this one because I know that you didn't read this one, and that's okay because not much happens. Justice Society of America #12 came out this week, and then Justice Society #1 comes out like whatever, like soon, because they're restarting it.
Yeah, are
And
you
this,
saying not much happens on the final issue?
yeah. Do
Oh,
you,
okay.
okay, you didn't read it, right?
No,
So the
no.
final issue was kind of like issue 11. And this makes me wonder whether Jeff Johns will ever work with DC Comics again. What
Hmm.
happens in this issue, because the series is kind of like, this is like an epilogue. The series ends in like issue 11, like the story they were telling for like 11 issues. This one was Courtney's graduation from high school. And
Oh,
and so like Star Spangled Girl or Star Girl, what's she going by now? Star
our girl.
Girl.
Yeah.
She's graduating high school, and it talks about her time with the Justice Society, and like it does like flashbacks, and these are a majority Jeff Johns written Justice Society stories, right? And
Mhm.
so it's really kind of sweet, and it seems like it's a goodbye to the character that he created 20 years ago, and a character that was based on his late sister, because his sister passed. Do you know the story about this?
No, I don't.
Do you know the TWA Flight 800? You know that whole, there was like a big famous plane crash
Yeah, I
back in
I
the
don't know
90s.
the big details of it, but yeah, I
Yeah, I
know
don't know
of
the
it.
big details. His sister was on that flight.
Oh my goodness.
And so this was like, more than 20 years ago. And then he wrote Stargirl as her name, because her name was Courtney. And so Courtney Johns, and
Oh.
he wrote Stargirl after her. And so it seems to me that like Jeff Johns going and doing like all the what's it called, the titles that he's doing over like
Oh,
with
Ghost Machine.
Ghost Machine, like it
Yeah.
seems like this is his final, like, all right, I'm off of it now, you know.
Yeah, at least for now that makes sense. Like his other stuff is so successful and I feel like it used to be the opposite way, right? Like creators used to try to work on indie projects until they could get noticed by the big two, and now it's the opposite. Like people work at the big two until they can make their own projects. So
Right,
because they're doing so well.
right. um yeah, I liked this issue. It just was kind of bittersweet, you know, but
Yeah, that makes sense.
it was sweet. What else do you want to hit?
All right. Let's do Poison Ivy. Oh
Okay.
wait, okay. That's fine. We did just do a DC book, but let's do Poison Ivy. So Poison Ivy 26 was this week. The reason I want to bring up this one is because I want to bring up an opinion. So first off, this creative team is amazing, right? Like this book is fantastic. It's consistently one of the best works at DC. I think it's phenomenal. I think that everyone is pretty much on par with that. Like G. Willow Wilson crushes it. Dakara, amazing art. I love that they're back on it. Um, yeah, just consistently using the best books on the shelf. And like it's at 26 still selling really well at my store. And I think that really
Yeah,
speaks to it for like a big two book.
and these variant
Um,
covers are amazing.
they know what they're doing. They're like, we have the hot redhead girl that everyone loves. Like Poison Ivy covers have always sold, so they keep going for it. They keep doing like 3 or 4 covers for each one, and then the ratios, and it pays off. Like it's one of the only titles where people, speaking from my stories, people come in and they choose their covers they want. They always want like the B or the C, or they get like multiple covers. It's everyone else is kind of like, oh, we just get A covers, but Poison Ivy, like they know what they're doing. They're gorgeous.
It's very much like DC is like, are you a woman who likes women? We got a cover for you. Are you a man who likes women? We got a cover for you.
That's exactly it. Like they do so well in this book to pay like to the female gaze, right? Like it's
It's
okay, yes,
yeah,
Poison Ivy's hot.
yeah,
Obviously, she's a banging redhead,
yeah,
but also like she's usually wearing like her like gardener's jumpsuit and stuff, and having like this sexual tension with like Harley or Janet or something. And so like they really make her like, like you're gonna like her no matter what.
yeah.
And she's my favorite character, so I'm totally biased. But the hot take opinion that I really want to bring up is that I really want Janet and Croc to get together. And I feel like in this issue, that's something that I really was like, they were like on the phone at one point, and he was just like, do you want me to come over? And she's just venting about other stuff. And
Are we
I
talking
want
about
Janet and
Killer
Croc to get
Croc? We're talking about Waylon
together. Yes,
Jones, Killer Croc.
yes.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. So like I've read a good amount of this series, but I stopped, and maybe I stopped like 10 issues ago. So like I haven't been on this for like since like issue 16 or 17. So um, I didn't know that Croc's in this.
He probably has only been in for like, I'm gonna guess like 3 or 4 issues, maybe.
Okay.
It's very much like a like Ivy, right? Like not a good guy, not really a bad guy. you
Right.
know, he's on the team right now.
Okay.
But Janet and Croc are like, I don't know, I'm sensing something, and I kind of hope that they get together because Janet's kind of in between the other ladies right now. But my hot take is that I want them together. In this issue, they're in this swamp that Croc was actually the one who like kind of led them to for a safe place, and that's kind of how he's on the team. And Ivy realizes after the last big fight that happened, because 25 is a big issue,
Yeah.
there's like this town that kind of emerged from this swamp, and so she's exploring it, and it's this weird abandoned place where it looks like something really creepy and bad happened there. And I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I love looking at abandoned places. I love creepy stuff, so I'm very excited to see where the story arc takes us.
All right. Um, I need to hop back on Poison Ivy.
I'm sorry, what?
I need a hop back on Poison Ivy. You know?
Yes. Yes.
Like, I need to get
100%.
back to it.
Yes. Seriously, it's like one of the best DC books out there, I think. Like consistently, it's so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's switch over to Marvel then. Storm #1. Did you read it?
Oof, I did.
I liked it a lot. The art was amazing. The cool thing about X-Men books is like you can easily borrow other characters, like other mutants, and just have them like come and go. So Frenzy being in this book was really cool.
I love Frenzy.
Frenzy's in X Factor right now, and so the fact that she's in this book was interesting. Because Storm and Frenzy, I can't remember the last time like Storm and Frenzy talked, because Frenzy used to be an acolyte.
Frenzy's X Factor. Yeah.
But like she used to be a bad guy. Like she used to, you know. And so now
Yeah, the first appearance is badass. I love it.
What's her first appearance? As an acolyte?
X Factor #4, I believe. It's from that original run.
Was she an acolyte when they first met her?
I do not remember because I read it a long time ago. But it's like a dollar bin book. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I love how what Frenzy's doing now. I don't necessarily like old Frenzy, but there's a point in X-Men comics where like, okay, Frenzy's growing on me.
Yeah, same.
This book though, I really like the dilemma that Storm has at the end with the young mutant who can't control his powers, and he killed a bunch of people at the lab and creating shockwaves and whatnot, and the dilemma of like be honest to the world or like safeguard a mutant.
Yeah, like this great catastrophe happens, and for some reason, just the way it rolled out, it seemed like it was scientists making a mistake. So mutants were actually loved and thought of as heroes for once, like saving the situation. And so it's either, do you want to go back to making them hated and feared as they always are and tell the truth, which also will come at the great cost for that like one kid. Like you have to like everyone's gonna want to just murder that child that did nothing wrong intentionally,
or murder any child who has any sort of power manifesting.
There was truly no good decision, so they did what she did what I felt was like the most morally correct decision she could come to, but no option was good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what I would do in that situation, and it's tough.
She's also very political in this. Like she's like clearly trying to be like a leader.
Yeah.
I love Easter eggs in comics. It's like my favorite thing. And in one of the early pages, there's a little grocery store, and right above the entrance, it says "Storm Shop Tier Ones," and I just thought that was really funny. It made me laugh.
That's funny. I love Storm.
I love that we got to see so many outfits. And I feel like Lucas Wernick like loves that kind of stuff. Like they're so great with costume design.
Yeah.
But that was so fun. Like I feel like every panel was just a different Storm fit, and it made me so happy.
Yeah. I need to go through it again because I need to like pay close attention. I was reading it for the story, and I feel like I've missed some things. Did you read X-Men Red back in the day, or not back in the day, like a year ago? Did you read
Tom Taylor one? Yeah.
X-Men Red?
X-Men Red was Tom Taylor. If it's the one from like I don't know, like 5 years ago or something. No,
not that one. The one with Storm on Mars.
No. I did not read that. No.
Okay. All right. There's a outfit that she wears when she goes on a date with this guy named I think his name's not Kyle. That's North Star's husband's name is Kyle. What's his name? I forget what his name is. He was a human guy, and she wears the it's just such a good outfit.
Okay.
That's just, something to look up.
Yeah, I mean, I've meant to read that run. But like I really love in this issue how like I felt like there was so much expanded on in just a few pages. Like all in one issue, we kind of get to see like the heart of this character. Like in one issue, she goes through such triumphs and tragedies all within just like a few sentences. Like reaching such high highs and immediately such low lows. Like
Yeah.
it's, I don't know, it was a very impressive first issue for me where I felt like so much happened, but also it was a great setup.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like literally one of my favorite X titles so far.
This was a strong start. Uncanny X-Men #1 was also a really strong start, and I really liked Uncanny X-Men #1, but the subsequent issues aren't really like hitting me in the same way.
Yeah.
But they're all gonna find their groove, and I'm okay with that.
I like NYX. I think that one's really fun. I like X Factor. I like Mark Russell though. I'm a Mark Russell fanboy. Like
yeah. X Factor's good. NYX is good.
I haven't read Exceptional yet. That's the one that I haven't gotten a hit yet. But I will.
I like Exceptional X-Men #1. Yeah.
Okay.
I liked it. I just need more Emma Frost. I just need
same.
Like and she doesn't really appear until the final page.
She might be my Halloween costume this year. Maybe.
Okay. She has so many costumes, so
that's it. She's easy, dude. I just put together whatever is white and I put some diamonds on my face. Like,
yeah, great. That's true. Let's so that was let's hit another third party publisher. Anything pop out? I hate to call them indies because like some of them are indie and some of them are they technically indie comics? I don't know.
Well, definitely stretching it because I feel like if you're going to count something not as indie, it's going to be this. But do you want to talk about Redcoat since we both read it?
We did both read. We both read Red.
We read Red. Yeah.
Redcoat 6.
Redcoat.
Have you been liking Redcoat?
Much more than I expected to.
Yeah.
If you put all of these things on a piece of paper, I won't be interested in them. Like Jeff Johns, I think is fine. These artists, they're not bad, but it's just a very stereotypical comic style, and I'm not immediately drawn to it. I don't care about like Civil War stuff, anything specific.
It's not Civil War, it's Revolutionary, but okay.
Revolutionary, yeah. Sorry, Civil War was in the Swamp Thing we were talking about today. That was my whole last show. Wrong year. But yeah, like all this stuff is not something I'm naturally drawn to, and I've actually been enjoying this whole run much more than I expected, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that I'm not interested in the Revolutionary War either, but I do like the Civil War better because I think it's more interesting.
That's fair.
But yeah, I'm with you. I wasn't really interested in this like weird period piece kind of thing, but it works well, and I think the part that makes this series, like it would have still been good, but I feel like the part that really rounded it out and made it really like sellable is a young Albert Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
Like adding him to the cast, you know?
So do you think that they gave him the name Simon Pure just for that beginning joke that they do in every issue?
Which is what? I'm anything but? Or whatever?
Yeah, they're always just like, hi, my name is Simon Pure. Although you'll find out that I'm anything but every single issue.
I think the purpose is to sell to Netflix. Like I think the purpose is to like sell this as a TV show.
Okay.
Mark Miller's work is also like, it's really blatantly like, he just wants to make a TV show.
Yep.
You know?
This does read a little bit like that now that you say that, because I'm a firm believer in like comics being comics. Like I truly believe that comics are the best medium. Like that's why I love them so much. But you're right. This does kind of read specifically like, oh yeah, this is a comic, but it could be anything.
Yeah. I believe that comics should be comics. I'm not a comic purist though. Like I don't believe comics should stay comics and never be adapted. I believe that like all these things should be adapted. I want TV shows adapted into comics. I love sequel series that are comics, like Smallville season 11 or like Buffy season.
I was thinking Buffy.
Whatever, you know? Like cool. Like if you can't get the cast together, just like make a comic book series so we see the characters and what happens after.
Then you have no budget, dude. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, you know, you want to do like Pushing Daisies, I think lasted a season. Why not continue it in a comic book format?
True.
You know? Or a book series or whatever. point being is like I'm not against adaptations, but what I don't like is when people slight comics as a medium
Mm-hmm.
to be like, okay, sure, it's a comic, but it could be better. And it's like TV shows and movies aren't inherently better than the comic book medium. They just make more money. I get
Yeah.
it. I get it. But they're not better. They're just different. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's just like the inherent like whenever someone reads a comic, the compliment that they give it is they should make this into X. And it's like that's like I get it. Like sometimes I truly understand wanting to like see it visualized in a different form, but it's just like I don't know, that's not the compliment you think it is. Like
Yeah. I'm gonna be like hot take. I don't want a live action Kingdom Come. An animated Kingdom Come, I think they're working on.
mm.
But like Kingdom Come, right? Like
Yes, I've
yeah,
read Kingdom Come.
okay. It's my favorite, like one of my favorites of all time.
Really interesting.
I love Kingdom Come.
Okay.
DC.
It's great. That was not me saying it's bad.
Yeah.
It's great. It was just an interesting pick.
Kingdom Come is like, I mean, I like, and Drew would disagree with me because Drew loves Watchmen. I love Kingdom Come better than Watchmen. Like, I love Kingdom Come. Also, I just like DC. Like, I grew up on DC, so like DC's way more iconic to me. Like,
Yeah.
those are the heroes like I would pray to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, I feel like there's no other iconic. There's nothing more iconic than Superman, right? Like,
yeah.
even
well,
if you've
as
never
I
touched
say,
the
as I'm
comic
like
or
wearing a
watched the movie.
Spider-Man shirt. But, yeah, Okay.
Oh.
But yeah, so Kingdom Come, a lot of my favorite comic books of all time are DC.
Mm-hmm.
Or X-Men, I guess, but like, anyway, Redcoat number 6.
Yeah.
I liked how it ended. But it's definitely like, oh, these 6 issues are going in trade and they're just going to keep making more trades and 6-issue arcs. They're just going to tell a new story. So it could be a movie, could be a season of a TV show, who knows, but that's what it seemed like.
They definitely left off in a way that like we could never see Einstein again, and I hope that's not the case because he definitely adds a lot to the story for me. But they
I
ended
would
up
love
a smart cliffhanger.
What's that?
They ended up in like a fun way where it's like a fun cliffhanger, not like a loose thread kind of thing, but just like like a nice little teaser, you know?
You're talking about the person at the end?
Yeah. Just that last like page was just like oh look, this could be next.
It just reminds me of the end of, did you ever see King's Man? Which was the Kingsman prequel.
Oh.
You know Kingsman, right? The secret agent Kingsman?
Yeah.
So like they have two modern day ones, and then they have the prequel that takes place in World War One. It wasn't good, but it ends with it was not good. It ends with a young Hitler showing up in the post-credit scene.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, like people made fun of it on TikTok and everything, but like that's what it kind of seemed like to me at the end of this book. And it was just like, check out this historical figure.
Oh my god. I did really like the first Kingsman. I thought that was a really fun flick.
I love those two, but
I never saw the sequel, I don't think. But the first one was great. It was fun.
Sequel has Julianne Moore. Julianne Moore.
Oh, I do not know actors.
You don't know Julianne Moore?
I'm so sorry. I couldn't tell you the name of anyone in Kingsman either. I don't know people.
Are you on the up and up with famous redhead celebrities?
I do find redheads ridiculously attractive.
Okay, we'll talk later.
Okay. Okay. That's my favorite conversational topic. Let's go.
Julianne Moore is a very she still has it. She still got it. Did you ever see Don John? Did you ever see Don John?
Never heard of it. I'm here because I read comics. I don't watch other things.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know too much about too many things. I'm sorry. All right, cool. All right, so let's get back to comics. We'll hopefully get through everything. Did you read Batman 153?
I did.
I liked it. It's like a new status quo kind of situation. Did you not?
No, I was just saying, like, because you're saying the status quo thing, like, it definitely has a moment. The surprise thing I did not see coming, which is very surprising for me. I usually kind of see when things are going to happen, and that one was just like, oh, I thought this person was going to be around for a while. Like, I thought this was supposed to be like a mainstay for years.
Wait, what? Sorry, you froze for a little bit. You thought they were going to be around for years?
Yeah, just there's a little surprise event that happens in here, and I did not see it coming. I thought that character was going to be around for a long time.
Are we talking about that? Are we talking about?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. All
That's
right.
so obvious. That was
Nobody can
oh.
see. Nobody can see. So the podcast people won't be able to see.
You're clever. Okay.
And then the covers are being shown on the live stream, so nobody knows what happens. But yes, I did think that character. They do introduce, and it's very interesting in a Batman comic that they would introduce this type of character, because I feel like this type of character is like, you'll see this trope pop up in like other superheroes, but like the idea that like, oh, there's a new vigilante in town and he's like super patriotic and like in a Batman comic. Okay.
Wild, right? And like, it was also, I know it wasn't surprising, but it was just very funny the way they did it. Like, that super patriot guy fires off a gun, and Batman's like, what the hell, dude? You're firing a gun? And they're like, ah, yes, that makes sense. Anyway, we should arrest Batman. Like, all in the same panel, basically. And it's just, get Batman. He has crimes.
I forgot that Vandal Savage is commissioner of Gotham. It's so weird to me. And I hate him. I hate Vandal Savage so much. I like him as a character. I hate him, though. Like, I hate him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, tie a weight to the bottom of his feet and throw him into the ocean. Like, get rid of him.
I do really like that they've been using Riddler more often, because there's just been such a, like, I don't dislike Joker. There's just been constant Joker stuff for like the last like 10 years. And like, that's great. We should have that. But Batman has such like a rich rogues gallery that I want to see all these kooky dudes. And so like, I like that we're seeing Riddler more. And I want to say a lot of that is because of the Batman movie that happened. We've been seeing so much Riddler, but I'll take it because it's just been like Joker. So give me, it's fine. Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of the Joker. Like, the Joker's very over saturated, right? Yeah. And so Batman's greatest villain, the Joker. So every Batman incarnation like has to have the Joker, and it's like, okay, whatever. But like, he has really good villains that are not capitalized on, like Hugo Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I love Hugo.
Which, to be fair, Chip Zdarsky has touched on him. So like, I feel like Chip Zdarsky has been going through things pretty well. Yeah. And so I think that was in The Knight. So he did like, I like that he's been going through stuff.
I loved The Knight. I have it in hardcover. The Knight was really good.
I agree. I think that this specifically, like, this is clearly, all these all-in titles are supposed to be like a way to just pop in. Like, cool, you know, Batman is Bruce Wayne, you're fine, hop on in. And I feel like this is an interesting start to a development they're going towards where things are struggling more specifically for Bruce Wayne than for Batman, which I feel like is a trope they've been doing more the last few years, but I'm still kind of here for it. I like seeing like both sides of Batman. Otherwise, I don't know. Then why would I read the comic? Like, I like the Bruce Wayne stuff too.
Kind of like, I love Superman when he's also Clark Kent. Like,
absolutely,
cause
so much
problems for Clark, you know?
That was it was such a thing for a slight tangent. The PKJ run like really made me fall in love with Superman. Like, I always loved the classic movie, but otherwise, like, I was just a Batman person. But now I love Superman with such a ferocity. Like, he's a favorite character of mine, and like, he just was so good at writing Clark and Lois, and like, these are humans, or I guess technically not humans. These are people, as well as whatever mask they parade around. Like, they're more than just an image. And I don't know. When you write Clark well, I love Superman.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Superman done right. It's very easy to make Batman one note. But like Superman, it takes like it's just like, I don't know. You don't have to reinvent the wheel with Superman. You know? But I feel like with Batman, maybe sometimes you need to kind of reinvent him a little bit. Like, make him not one note, you know?
100.
We're gonna get through everything else that we read with like just quick snippets of thoughts. All right?
Brad.
All right. Birds of Prey 14. I didn't get to read this one, but I am up to date other than this issue.
This is literally one of my favorite DC books. I miss Romero being on the art. The art's still really good. This issue plays into something that I think is going to be Cassandra Cain being used more for her brains than her brawn, which is very interesting because she's such a, right? Yeah. You can't see, but he just made like a face. She's like the best fighter. And so I think it's so fun though, because she's such a good fighter because she's so smart, right? So I'm very excited to see her like going undercover and using more of her head. Kelly Thompson just never misses. This was a big setup issue, a lot of training and stuff, but and the fighting scenes in this book are always so clever. Like that's part of why I like it. Like it's not just bam, pow. It's like you actually have to like it's utilizing like the comic format in such a specific way, and it's genius. I love it.
I just saw Grace on the cover, and I was a big fan of the Outsiders run that introduced Grace.
Okay.
Back in the day when the Young Justice graduated to Teen Titans, and then the Teen Titans became Titans and the Outsiders, and like whatever. I liked that era of DC Comics is like part of me. So I really want to read this one. So I'm gonna jump all in on issue 14. You know,
this is my favorite DC book, and it is consistently like top 3 favorite ongoings for me personally.
Oh, for sure. It's amazing. I think I need to buy them in trades. So basically, I get like really focused on one title, and I'll buy the same trade over and over and give them out to people, like as like birthday presents or whatnot. So Wonder Woman Historia is the one I get it in hardcover and I give it away as presents, and I'm like, because it's such a good book. Did you ever read that one?
Yes. So I really want a spinner rack. It's what I want more than any like Grail comic, and that's what I wanted for. I want. Wow. I always make that joke, but no, spinner racks are what old comic stores used to use to have comics out the display.
Yeah.
But I really want one, and that's what I want to use them for. I just want to put my favorite trades on there so that I can just hand them to people. Like that's what I want it for. It's just the here, take one. Like you come to my house guest, enjoy. Like.
Yeah. I do comics for white elephants and all that stuff. Like comics are the gifts that I would, you know.
I'm sorry, what's a white elephant?
Like a white elephant gift exchange. Have you done white elephant before?
I haven't heard of that, no.
Oh. I'll tell you later. It's not worth it talking about on the show. But like it's a gift exchange.
Okay.
We don't need to get into it. But anyway, it's normally Christmas time-ish.
Gotcha, okay.
All right, going to Creeping Below #1.
I love that cover. I'll be honest, like I'm not a big fan of Azzarello. I love Boom, I love creepy stuff, and I love Vanessa Del Rey. So I thought that the layouts on this were awesome. There was some creepy imagery, but like I just wasn't really huge into the story. It was a lot of setup though, so maybe the next issue would be better, but currently not my jam. If people say the next issue is really good, I'll check it out, but otherwise,
Okay. All right.
This was like, it wasn't horrible, it was just my least favorite for the week.
Okay. What about Cruel Universe #3?
We Drowned on Earth was probably my favorite story in it. I love the art. Zach Thompson is a very underrated writer to me. It was definitely more gory than I expected. Like I feel like I turned the page and it went from being like a ghost ship story to suddenly having viscera. Yeah, there was really cool creature design. The colors were phenomenal. I loved the art. Yeah, it just ended up being more than like a spooky ship tale like I thought it was going to be. It ended up being more like a tale against greed. Big fan.
Okay, all right. It's an anthology series?
Yeah. Okay. Each one. So Cruel Universe is your horror stuff, and then Epitaphs from the Abyss is going to be your sci-fi stuff, and they're all anthologies. So you can just pick up any one. So whenever you see a creator you like, you can grab it.
What's the publisher?
Oni.
Okay.
Oni bought EC comics out. They used to do all those old horror and sci-fi stuff, and it's honestly a crazy cool move. I love it.
Okay, all right. Cult of the Lamb #4.
I actually haven't played this game before. I've seen like little scenes from it, but my roommate loves it. Like she loves it. This is like one of the only comics she reads. She's not a comic person. I was really surprised by a lot of the cool creature design. The more action parts definitely felt more like a video game and like gave way to that kind of like source. There's a character called Lishi. I don't think that's how you pronounce it, but they look awesome. But I super love the weird animals. Like I'm really into like interesting creature design. I love all the spooky cute art. I love spooky. I love cute. It was very cool. I'll definitely be checking out the next art because this is the end of this story, but they will be doing another Call to the Lamb series, and I'm gonna try to play the game before the next series. But this was really fun. I'm sure it's even better if you like the game.
All right. We're gonna do like 10-second statements for everything coming up. Deadpool #7. I read Deadpool #6. I didn't get to read this one. I am excited to see what happens in this one, but I've been really liking this run.
I love Princess.
The symbiote dog. It's the only symbiote I like.
100% agree with you there.
It's the only symbiote I like. Yep. So definitely worth jumping on that Deadpool run for anyone who hasn't. Deviant number 8.
The art continues to crush. Like James Tynion, always amazing, but Hickson brings something special and magical. The color play is amazing. I love how it's like cool tones when they're talking to jail and when it's not. And the flashback was a beautiful, horrible addition. I loved it. This issue was amazing. It's the penultimate issue.
Oh, okay. So one more. This is a 9-issue series?
Right?
Weird.
James Tynion can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's fair. Hyde Street number 1. That's also is it an anthology book?
No, it's a Ghost Machine book, and it's my favorite of the Ghost Machine titles so far.
Is it one continuous story, or is it a bunch of smaller stories?
No, it looks like it's just one continuous story.
Okay.
To be fair, the reason I think I like this is it pays homage to a bunch of very real vintage comic ads, and that definitely tickles my fancy because I like old books. So like the Sea Monkey ads, the X-Ray ads, Pet Monkeys. I think it's the strongest John's number 1 I've read. I'm really excited.
Okay. DC's I Know What You Did Last Crisis. I wanted to read this one. I love their seasonal anthology books. I didn't get to read it.
I usually love the seasonal anthology books. So obviously the title of this is paying homage to I Know What You Did Last Summer. But this ties in, but it's actually true. Like all of the stories here tie into different big events. And I haven't read a lot of the events. I don't really care about a lot of the events. So this was a little lost on me. The Blackest Night one was my favorite. It played into a lot of horror movie tropes, so that was fun. But this was my least favorite seasonal one, honestly.
Okay, that's fair. I, on the other hand, I'm really big into the DC crossover events, so maybe.
And you would love this. It's all Final Crisis and Infinite Crisis, just everything. So you should read that.
By the way, there's a Hyde Street variant cover that parodies Blackest Night. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, that's cute. I don't remember it because the ordering was so long ago, but that's cool.
Yeah. Mammoth number 4. 10-second statements.
Mysterious story about ghosts in a strange town. It gets better with every issue.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't expect you to beat 10 seconds. Plastic Man No More number 2. Did I talk about this one? This one actually should have been my pick of the week. Maybe. I'm not quite sure.
So good.
It was really good, and it was really dark at the end.
That's what I said.
With the Metal Men. And I'm like, oh, that's why this is a Black Label book. Because there's some...
Made my jaw drop. It was wild and dark. Oh. Yeah. And it's like slowly watching Plastic Man get himself into the worst sticky situation. Like I'm sitting there like pulling out my hair.
It's that trope of like somebody having a problem and attempting to fix the problem and getting into a worse problem.
God, it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Ultimate Black Panther number 9.
You read this too, right?
I did read this one. Who do we think is the Sorcerer Supreme at the end?
Right? Like it could be Nico from Runaways maybe, but I also thought maybe
Nico's in Ultimate X-Men.
Oh, I haven't gotten there yet.
Unless they split her into 2 characters. Unless there's an adult Nico and a kid Nico. But the kid Nico is in Ultimate X-Men.
It could just be like a gender bent Doctor Strange. Either way, like it was a sick reveal. I'm super interested. And I like more of the like Shuri T'Challa relationship with this issue.
Yeah. Also, everybody is gorgeous. Like the art makes everybody.
Form is so cool. Swoon. Oh my gosh.
Like everybody. Why does everybody look so hot?
Yep. Everyone's hot. Everyone's hot.
It's the who's the art on this?
Hitch? No.
It's not Hitch.
I'm thinking Jeff John stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who the artist is. I forget. But again. And I love Storm. Storm to me is my queen. So like the fact that like Storm is in multiple books and like a younger
well right now. Okay.
You know, a younger Storm.
She's so hot. She's so fine.
Yeah.
She had I don't remember if it was this issue or the previous one because I read them both, but she had outfits that I was like, oh my goodness. Woo!
Yeah. Yeah. Also the hair design on all of these.
Yes.
It's like
she's so cool.
Yeah.
She's way too cool.
We're talking way too much about this, but I don't want to stop. That's the problem. I don't. We're almost to the end. X-Men number 4. Actually, this is the last one. X-Men number 4.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this was. If there's something you need to know about me, I hate dream sequences. I hate going into the mind episodes. I hate you know what I mean? I just don't like them.
Usually, I'm with you. But this one I feel like did matter because they were going there to like get information. I actually thought this might be my favorite issue this run so far. But to be fair, this isn't my strongest mutant title personally. Like I think it is just fine. I think it's like 5, 6 out of 10, like medium, just above medium. Like that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I kind of liked them getting to expose a lot of like trauma within the three of them. I thought it was really fun actually.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea that like Grey Crow, they're touching on Canon and Grey Crow's relationship and like that whole thing. Because spoiler alert for people who, know comic news ahead of time, Psylocke is getting her own series because she gets kicked out of the X-Men. So it's going to be in this book. She's going to do something that the X-Men's going to kick her out. And then, we'll see what happens. But I love Grey Crow and her because they got together in Hellions.
Yeah. What do you think she's gonna do? Why do you think she's gonna leave?
I think she's gonna kill a human on camera.
Ooh, okay. But do you think she actually will, or do you think like they'll just make it seem like it? Because they've insinuated that we're just gonna edit it and make it look like this happened.
I don't know. I don't know. There's some things coming up. Like we'll see. Bumpkins TV says Stefano Caselli is the artist on UBP, and that's surprising to me because I don't know what Stefano, who Stefano Caselli is. I would have assumed because of the amazing hair work that they would be a black artist on Ultimate Black Panther. But shout out, props to Stefano. Good stuff.
Thank you, Bumpkin. Forever my hero.
Yeah, thanks for coming in clutch. That's pretty much it. That's everything that we read this week. We got through everything.
We're so cool. We're so cool.
That's We didn't even need Lex. Lex
would have slowed us down. We were actually really slow until the very end there.
That's what happens all the time in this show. It's like we chat for a little bit and then we we got to get back to work. Okay, cool. We only have a certain amount of time. I got to go host trivia as I do every Thursday night. So that's
I do want to give a quick shout out to the 2 YA DC books out this week. This is their first book, I believe, the Blue Beetle book. So that's really cool. So congratulations to them. And there's a new Harley one that looks gorgeous. I didn't get to read them on time, but sick. They're great, and you should always support them. So.
Are they paperbacks or hardcovers?
Paperbacks.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
Yeah, they're also like typically really affordable. So the young adult ones are always like way more like intense than you think they're, and they're usually like $15. So.
Okay. Nice. Thank you so much, Tessa, for coming on the show. This is your first time on the show, and I think you did a good job. Not great, but a good job. No, you did a great job, and I'd love to have you come back because you know your shit, and that's a pre.
Yeah, as long as I get another $500, sure, yeah.
Look, as long as I'm not paying you, where you get your money from, that's up to you. Before we get going though, Tessa, where can people find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
You can find me over at Instagram. Tessa is a nerd, a little period in between each word. I'm over on TikTok, Tessa's a nerd. I'm on Threads, and I'm on YouTube, Tessa's a nerd. I do have a video that I've scripted out that I'm going to be filming this weekend and editing this week for YouTube that I'm very, very excited for. It's hopefully going to be the best thing I've ever done. But I'm getting that out before New York Comic Con. Also, if you're at New York Comic Con, hit your girl up.
Okay. Are you coming to LA Comic Con? No, right?
No, that's like this weekend, right? Yeah.
No. Okay. That's fair.
I have secret things to do that I don't want to say on camera, but I could tell you about later. That sounded very naughty. I'm not coming on to him.
I don't know what's going on, but yes, we're running out of time either way, so anything we talk about is going to have to be talked about later. Thank you, Tessa, so much for coming on the show. If anyone wants to follow me personally, you follow me on Instagram at thisisDimithri. That's Dimitri with an H. But for the general Keeg audience, if you want to follow the Keeg and all the podcasts that we do at the Keeg Show on social media, TikTok and Instagram are 2 biggest ones. But we're also at the Keeg Show / the Keeg Show on Threads, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, including patreon.com / the Keeg Show. If you want to give back to the Keeg, I'm trying to figure out what to give back to people who do donate on Patreon, taking ideas. We'll see how that goes. I personally am going to be at LA Comic Con this weekend. If anyone's at LA Comic Con, come out to the Podcasting 101 channel or panel on Sunday, 2:30, I think is when it is. I'm going to be there. And then what else? If you're watching us live, you're watching us on twitch.tv / The Keeg Show or youtube.com / The Keeg Show, or you're listening to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, whatever. Like, comment, subscribe, write a review. Let us know you're out there. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to Bumpkins TV. Thank you to Comic Book Stash. Thank you to Sean Tegrity. Thank you to Curly Insane Guy was here earlier. And Marion Cravens on YouTube. Thorn Identity on YouTube as well. Thank you guys so much for coming out. That's pretty much it. This is Comic Talk. We do this here every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So, stay tuned for more Comic Talk, and we'll have Tessa back and, many more guests to come. Thank you, Tessa. Thank you, everybody out there, for watching. Once again, I'm your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been another episode of Comic Talk for the week of October 3rd, 2024. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Super fast, gotta beat the boss and get the loot, 'cause it's the king.